everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Three Dads and a Console. We know not every dad can stay up to date on the latest and greatest in video game news that you need to know about, so we are here to do it for you. Remember, this show is kid-friendly, so no earmuffs are needed. Sorry, Pez is chewing on a straw. Anyway,
was that loud?
Notice that straw.
No, it wasn't the noise, but it was just...
okay. I thought it was the noise, and I just...
The classic Bostonian chewing on a Dunkin' straw. I'm Wobble Plays, alongside, as always, Court. Hello.
Hey, buddy. I want the listeners to understand, if I'm looking away the other way, our Boston Bruins are playing tonight, and I'm watching it on the other screen. I'll stop playing the video game because that was just mindless waiting for Waba. Because if anybody doesn't realize it, we start at 7:30. Waba is never on time.
A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Fair. Bruins just they're killing off yeah, they're on the PK right now.
Oh god, don't scare me. Here is this.
Speaking of the Bruins, hold on. Waba had a huge pull today.
I did. I got a milestone for his 1,000th games. We got the boy, David Krejci, which
I did that
blew my mind. So hopefully it's an omen between us signing a check, me getting a Czech player, that we will sign the Czech gluten man.
It sounds like we are.
We better be. Honestly, I will buy so many hot dogs from the Bruins.
Pez, how you doing, buddy?
Hi, Pez.
If we want to talk hockey today, we can do it at the end.
We'll do it at the end.
We'll do a whole thing.
Pez, hi, listeners out there. I'm always in the Discord at 6:30, making sure the show runs perfectly.
Hey, I'm second.
Yep, and Court's usually right behind me.
I show up before the show starts.
Yeah, Waba. Yeah, okay. Waba is like the highly paid actress that walks on set like 5 seconds before it's time to shoot.
And if people don't realize, sometimes Waba has his dinner right in front of him. Like he'll be like eating, and he'll sit down and he'll be like, "Give me a minute." His rice and his chicken, because that's what he eats. People, if you didn't know, Waba eats broccoli, rice, and chicken.
Sometimes peas if I'm, if we're feeling a little
saucy.
You know what though? Yeah. I'll give it to you, Waba. You eat protein, the one vegetable that literally has every vitamin in it, and a grain. So I don't know, man.
It's balanced like my checkbook, dude.
Ciao.
Which is
a checkbook? You boomer.
Yeah. Checkbook? Why do you have a checkbook?
I don't. Can I tell you guys about a
actually he probably does have.
He definitely has a checkbook.
Dude, I haven't written a checkbook, dude.
Money day.
No,
he buys other people's from like estate sales and sells them.
Waba no,
I just carry a wad.
Waba, it would not surprise me if he admitted to using a check at a grocery store.
No, I can't stand those people, because I used to work at a CVS, and like Nana would come by and like write a check.
Yeah,
I like, when I was
younger, I know we just stumbling over each other
here.
Yeah. When I was younger, I worked at a Shaw's. It's a supermarket for those that don't live in the area, and the checkers came in all the time. The check-in line all the time came in.
They wouldn't know what to do now. So I went to a thrift store, as I do, and I bought a Palm Pilot, Palm V, an old piece of technology that some of you actually might not know about. And the kid working there says, "Hey, what is this? Is this like a phone?" And I turned to him because my wife was there. I'm like, how old are you? And he goes, "I'm 18." I'm like, I don't know how to describe this to you. I'm like, it's like an iPhone before an iPhone existed,
but no phone.
I know he didn't understand. He didn't understand, but.
It's like an iPod without music.
It is. So allow me, if I may, to share with you a Three Dads story that happened yesterday. Okay. So it's a short week. We had Monday off. I didn't stream on Monday, because my daughter was home. And then, we put her to bed, and I go downstairs, and dog lays on me, and I fall asleep. I wake up at 8:30, and in a panic, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed the show. So I go and check the Discord, and both of you no one's in there, obviously. But I was like, oh my gosh, I have to apologize to them. And I stand up, and then I realize it is Tuesday, my dudes. We did not record. I did not bail on you. And I'm like, why didn't they message me?
Hold on. You definitely bailed on us somehow.
Yeah, in your mind, yeah. In my mind, I did.
Unreal.
But that was I don't know. It was a weird moment. So we've got some stuff to talk about today. There's a small TV show that aired called uh Velma. No, we're gonna talk about The Last of Us.
Jesus, you're like
Velma. Oh my god, the
did
show's
not watch
getting
that.
roasted.
No, not for me. But we all watched The Last of Us. It's like the biggest thing. There are non-gamers,
No,
people who haven't
me and
played the
Wobble
games.
watched The Last of Us. Pez has no excuses, but did not watch it.
I have not watched it yet.
So
I
we
mean-
can talk about our initial impressions.
It is
Um,
a 11-year-old video game, and it is almost line by line the video game. If you haven't played the game or haven't watched the TV show, just stop listening and just go do it. Like,
Yep.
culture yourself.
Yep, Pez.
I
No,
mean, I
Pez
played
has
the
at least
game.
played
I
the video
didn't
game, yeah.
like it.
No, we know that part.
So we're gonna talk about, and again, for the listener, if you haven't seen it, pause this, go watch it, and then come back. If you
Oh, hold on. DJ Spencer in the chat. Do you like
how do
I
you
have
ban-
it on PS3. Like, I'll mail it to you.
How do you ban people on YouTube? No, I'm kidding.
But
But
you can't. Only
we're
I
gonna
can.
talk. So we're gonna talk about the first episode. So again, spoiler hat on, just letting you know, and if we talk about it for a while, we'll put in like the description, like at what point you can come back. So again, spoilers about episode 1. Court, what did you think? Tell me your thoughts.
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was gripping. I thought they did a very, very good job of keeping to the source material. Yes, they did add things, but they added some things that I really wanted to know, like at the very beginning, where they kind of give you a bit of the history. And it seems like my guess is every episode we're going to get a little bit more of what leads up to the outbreak, is my guess.
I didn't think about that. I like that.
Because the one thing I love is this is one of my favorite games of all time. I've read the comics. I eat and breathe the lore of this game, and now I can go on the internet and I get so much of it, like the whole flower thing, which is just amazing to me. Like, because a guy on Seth that I was doing a spoiler cast on with, he joked about it, and it ends up being probably ends up being the thing. Because in Jakarta, where the outbreak now starts, because originally in the game it says South America, but in the show they say Jakarta, and that has the biggest flower making facility in the world. And conveniently, it sounds like flower is what's spreading. Now, here's where I have 2 issues with the first episode, because I honestly don't want to really get into all of it,
Mhm.
because I really want people to watch it. But one, I don't like the tendrils. I wish it was still the spores. I don't understand it, because I think, yes, they got a way around it to let everybody know that she is infected, Ellie, but and that she can't be like transmitted or anything like that. But at the same time, I really wish it was with the mask and her not putting it on, and like just the way it was done in the game, I thought was very well done. Um, a lot of people were saying that they just wanted to change it, and maybe this is what Druckmann, but like a lot of interviews are pretty much just saying they didn't want the guys wearing masks, and I was just
I
like,
was gonna.
Pedro Pascal wore a mask he's won it for 3 seasons plus Boba Fett, like it's okay.
I was gonna say, so that part I actually don't mind it the way they changed it, because it just it makes it a little more fresh for people who already know. So it's not like exactly the same, even though it's the most faithful thing ever. But the reason they gave behind it, like everything starting, I've rewatched that over and over, and I just think it's plausible. Like there are people like on Twitter, not that that's like the basis of everything, but like who are like, I'm like kind of scared that this could happen based on how they explained it, and like how I say, again, it's sensational, but I just thought that was like a silly kind of thing.
I will say to people, go do a deep dive on YouTube. There's many different people. New Rockstars does a great job of it. Yeah, anything's plausible, but
Right.
unfortunately, unless the fungi have a hard time living in our body because of the heat. That's why, like, if you eat mushrooms and stuff, you know what I'm talking about, Pez. Hey. It's fun. It's so much fun. But
But you had a second point as well, Court.
yeah, so my other point was Sarah is a lot older. I did love the fact that they walk you through it. And you get to know her a little bit more, but she's older. And this sounds terrible. I think the incident that happens to her That's the best. You know what? Because then I'm not spoiling the incident that happens to her.
Yeah.
I think would have had more impact if she was younger, like in the
Fair.
game.
Um,
If you know
I
what I mean.
I didn't mind that. I thought she was great. I liked
She was
her.
great.
I thought her
Great
actress
actress.
was great, and I thought
Great
the
actress.
scenes they used her in were like interesting. They actually, like Court said, there's more of a backstory because like I think the game gets into things right away, but this gives you a little bit of a lead up. Especially again, I'll talk about the opening scene forever. It's an interview with the scientist who's the brother in the Mummy. Also, he's in Spartacus. He's great. I forget his name, but I love everything I see him in. Just basically like everything's a joke on this show about like and end of the world things, and he just starts talking about his like fungus theory, and just everybody gets silent and like scared, and it's very good. I've never seen it set the stage, and if you're right, Court, about every show starting or every episode starting with something like that, the lead up, I would
I'm just
love that.
guesstimating.
Again, I know, but I would love that.
Yeah.
I think
I
you're right.
I thought it was very well done. I thought all the actresses and actors, I thought they all did a phenomenal job. They really did a great job of putting the story to life. But at the same time, this game is so good that and Paz, I know you don't like the game, but at the same time, you could probably safely admit that it's the perfect one for a TV show. If there's a game that you've played, you're probably like, "Wow, this is just easy." Like, Uncharted is another one where it should be a TV show, but at the same time
Yeah. If
actually,
they
Uncharted's gotta be a movie because it's big set pieces, right?
if they came out and was like, well, we're gonna make a Last of Us movie like that, I think that would also work, right? It's
Yeah, but I thought
it's
this was better to build the characters.
oh 1,000%. But it's one of those stories. And my issue with The Last of Us was the mechanics, mostly
Fair.
the stealth mechanics, because I thought they were terrible and I couldn't get past them. I think when it comes out on PC, I'm
It
going to give
fixed
it another
Hey,
shot.
they have fixed the stealth part on the PS5 version, just to give you a heads up. The
So I
enemies
think
are a lot smarter.
so I think when it comes out for PC, I'm going to give it another shot. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to check it out. There were some reasons I couldn't check it out on Sunday and Monday and yesterday, but it's on the list to watch.
What we want everybody to understand, what he's saying to you is what we classify as excuses.
Yes.
And we will not stand for it. And he could
True.
have watched it on an iPad. He has no excuse.
Court and
He's a
Wava
fact-
gave me a written warning. They said the next one I'll be terminated. So
Yeah, the next one I'm going to call the police on.
I'm on thin ice right now.
So like this is like the only show that I'm watching. So like Waba, I want to get into like what I think is going to happen in the second episode, because we all like without
You can
Like,
say things without saying things.
yeah.
Because
So
if
like
you just say like a
you and I
sentence,
both know where it left off, and it
Yeah.
was kind of it was actually rather hilarious that I said to my wife, "Well, the episode's over." She's like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Well, it's perfect. It's perfect timing." And it was like, sure enough, the episode was over, and I was like, "Well, okay." So I don't think the other person that dies will die in episode 2. I think that person dies in episode 3. The reason
think
why
that's
there's
fair.
9 episodes, so we got 8 left. I think the second episode starts once again going back to another little snippet of the virus, and then we get into the show. I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna give us like little 5-minute segments
Mhm.
at the beginning of each show that go and go and go until we get to the virus actually starting in Jakarta. And I think this was a very big Joel episode. The first episode, very big Joel episode. I also like the angle with Tommy being in jail and all that kind of stuff. I do, and the fact that he's not. They're not trying to sell guns. They were going to get a car battery. I really like that. I think that we are going to start to get snippets of Left Behind
Yeah.
in the next episode. So what'll happen is we're gonna do the thing, and then we're gonna go to that building. We'll get to see our clicker for the first time.
So if there was
oh,
already one though
Hmm?
at the end of the episode,
no, you hear it. Yeah,
and
you
it's
hear
on
it.
this. It's on the building.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying like we'll actually get to see it. Like,
I know.
Waba,
But
stop.
no,
Like I almost kicked you off the internet today.
that's fine. No, yeah,
But
good take.
what
That was a good take.
what I'm saying is I think we're gonna go into the building. We'll do that whole thing because that is a lengthy thing. I think
Mhm.
that'll be 20 minutes just in that building.
Yep.
And then we'll get a flashback to Ellie in Left Behind. And then that's a pretty decent chunk because they mentioned
They
her
brought it up.
friend in the very first one, eh? Like I don't know if you know, in the comic we get to find out where her knife came from, and the knife came from her mom.
Mm.
But in this, she is very protective of it. So I'm wondering, because in the comic American Dreams, which is very good, I'm wondering if they take pieces from that, and that's what we get first. We're gonna get more because if the actress from that's playing the character from Left Behind, it looks like she's in a lot more episodes than just one.
Yeah.
If you go on the IMDb. So my guess is we're going to get Left Behind in a bunch of different episodes until we get the whole story. So I'm very curious. But I'm just guessing that we get an Ellie episode next.
Fair. So a few things that I thought like I really liked. One, I mean, it's based in Boston. Well, it starts in Boston, and they didn't use actual on-site locations, but like you can
Edmonton.
tell.
It's all filmed in Edmonton.
Yeah,
but
but
did
you can
see
tell the
floors?
architecture is
Did
like
you see the floors?
Yeah.
That was so cool, dude. They walked by and I was like, that's the floors.
Yeah, but the architecture, it's like, okay, so you have like these brick buildings and like these green overhangs, and I'm like, is that the North End? Or like it's like they're like South by like it's so spot on. Like again, I know they did like site visits. I'm sure they did site visits for the game and stuff like that, but like I feel like they nailed it. If you're not from the area, you may not pick up on those things, but you know, we're Boston fans, you know, two Boston locals,
Yeah.
one Boston.
Yeah, I'm not from the
honorary
area, but
local.
I saw Sullivan's Tap and the fours when he walks by the street. I'm just like, well done. Because
Yeah,
you can see,
they
you know
put
the, you
some
know the
nods.
pillars? You know the pillars with the gold on
Mhm.
it, Pez, for the fours that used to be there, I guess, because the building's no longer there.
Yeah, they
Those
shut down.
pillars, the pillars were there. So they walk by it.
And it's all like, you know, just if you look at the unmarked locations, if you're from the Boston area, or just look up like Boston North End and like watch it again, you'll be like, oh my God, like it's these small details, and Boston's a very old city.
Where's your mom?
And I thought that was I thought that was really interesting. The second thing I really liked, my wife
What?
actually brought this up.
You know what you really liked? D's nuts.
Got him.
Got him. My wife brought this point up, how there's a narrator shift, and that makes things much more impactful in the first episode. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And she's like, well, we follow one character to start, and then all of a sudden you follow another character. And I'm like, and she's like, the story's being told from one point of view in the beginning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like so much, because the game doesn't really do that as much, or like, you know, I think some really good
Sarah,
ones.
you start using her as your only character, and then
But think about how much time they spent. Like, it was much more like, I don't know, built, and I thought that was really good. And I'm not going to name there are a bunch of video games that I think do that really well, and I think this show kind of reminds me of that. I'm not going to mention it yet, but I have some like in my pocket for when that point comes up again. And the last point I just want to make is, the casting in this is the most perfect casting I think I've ever seen, and I know it's only one episode, but I have no complaints. Now, granted, some of the cast are the characters in the book or the game.
Yes.
Marlene is the actress, and someone posted something funny, like it's an Office reference. Why get new actor when old actor should do just as good? Like,
well,
why would you get someone new when they're perfect?
Supposedly all like Ashley Johnson and all them, they're all in it.
They're all in it.
Like Ashley Johnson is Ellie's mom.
But Pedro Pascal is, I think, I mean, obviously, he's perfect. But like, can we talk about the girl who plays Ellie? Like, there was
Bella
so
Ramsey?
many
Well
people
done.
were pissed because she didn't look the part. Which you're comparing a real person. You know, granted, what's her name? Bella Ramsey has a very distinct look. People thought she was too old. She's great. She's excellent. She gets the attitude right. She gets the mannerism. Like, she's so good. And I'm so excited. And the best part, she's like hyping this up on Twitter. She's so excited too. Like, that's like, what more do you want? Someone who's excited, and like, I don't know. I'm just really excited. Like, it's very cool. And like every single person who they've shown is like perfect. So far, like, you know, Tess is like, you know, again, criticism about Tess. Like, she's great. She's
David
excellent.
is David, by the way.
Oh, good. So it's just I don't know. Just keep an eye out if you haven't
worst
played.
character in the world. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
good.
No, I mean, but
Like
it's
literally a despicable human.
true. But just wait until you know, future episodes. I'm sure the casting is gonna be great. But like, I've never had a complaint. Normally it's like, oh, well, you know, this was off. Like, well, actually, no, it's great. So if you haven't watched it, please do. I love it.
Actually, you know what? I don't think you complain that much.
Me?
You always try and find like the bright side of things. You're frugal, but I don't know about complaining.
Someone called me humble today, and I'm keeping that forever. Someone,
know you are.
I quote the most humble guy on Twitch, and I replied to him and said, "What channel are you talking about?" And it was Wab's channel.
I love him. If you're listening, Dax, never change. Always
Never
think I'm
change.
cool. You're the best. So Last of Us gets a 15 out of 8.
Okay.
15
Well,
clickers out of 8.
Speaking of things that don't get a 15 out of 8, Pez, why don't you talk to us about a little screenshot that got leaked?
So, ladies and gentlemen, hi. In case you forgot, my name's
You
Pez.
like that segue there, by the
I've
way,
been-
Baba.
I've been just chilling in the background. There has been a screenshot leaked of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which shows the what is presumably the main menu. Those that will have seen this leak, it is our thumbnail, will notice there are three things. There are three things that worries me very much about this game. One, a battle pass. Two, multiple currencies. So it looks like you have a gold currency, there's probably some paid currency, and probably some like hero upgrade currency for each hero. That's what it looks like. And secondly, double weapon XP, meaning what I think is double weapon XP, meaning like your primary and your secondary weapon will have separate XP that you have to level up to unlock stuff. Now, there have been a few folks on Twitter that are like, hey, we all knew that this was a games as a service. I didn't. And I'm sure there are a lot of gamers are because people aren't plugged in. People aren't plugged into the gaming sphere all 100% of the time. So I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that it was a games as a service. But then I saw a lot of tweets from people saying like, well, it's Rocksteady. They've made good games. I should give them the benefit of the doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a problem in gaming called games as a service. Now, let me talk to you about a couple games as a service video games that are made by reputable studios. Destiny 2, live service game. What did Destiny 2 do? First, after you bought content, they would later get rid of that content. Okay? Second, there is a huge push in Destiny 2 for you to go to the Eververse. Waba, what is the Eververse?
Bungus.
The Eververse is Destiny's cash shop. So go in, buy your new ship skins, buy your gun skins, buy all your fancy animations, right? Huge push. So it's been taken out of events like the like whatever their Trials of the Lost or whatever their like Halloween thing is called. You got no more free skins to go get, right? Gentlemen, remember a development company named BioWare? They put out a small game called Anthem. Now, Anthem, everyone was like, well, it's BioWare. They made Mass Effect. They made blah, blah, blah. They made blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Anthem came out and it was terrible. Half-ass game, right? That all BioWare wanted to do was push in A, terrible story, B, terrible matchmaking mechanics, and C, another cash shop. Now, let's talk about some more games. Hold on. I actually have a list.
Listo.
So I do want to add this, Pez. VGC did follow up with said studio, Rocksteady, and their source there says the Battle Pass is confirmed and it will be focused on cosmetic items. Their source also says the currencies at the top of the leaked images are XP numbers for powering up and customizing your characters. VGC was also told that the characters don't start out weak, they start off great and get ridiculous.
So
That's the same. It's all relative.
So
But, like,
then,
It's just yeah.
so then let's talk about games as a service and what it does to the industry. They are popular because you can put out a poorly made game and then patch it later, right? Look at games like Sea of Thieves. I'd love Sea of Thieves. Started out with virtually zero content. Now, whatever, 2-3 years later, however long it's been out, ton of content. Why? Because they patch it in as you go. I don't understand why we have talked about studios like BioWare. We have talked about Bungie. and we've talked about Rare. 3 big studios that have gone to games as a service and screwed it up. So why all of a sudden am I supposed to think that because Rocksteady made 3 great single player games that they are going to be able to put together a games as a service game? A live service game and a single player game are 2 totally different things. Again, we saw Bungie stumble with it. We saw BioWare fail with it. And we've seen companies like Activision Blizzard and Overwatch who go free to play and then immediately take away all the reasons that you play the game. It's all about the cash shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I see a battle pass in a game that should probably be less Anthem or games as a service and be more Guardians of the Galaxy, that game should be a Guardians of the Galaxy type of game, right? Should not be Avengers. It should not be any of that.
Avengers too.
Like, it should not be Avengers. It should be Guardians of the Galaxy, single player. You get to control, you pick if they want you to play as Harley, you play as Harley, and then you control the rest, just like in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy into the hype or stay hyped or whatever because Rocksteady made it. And
I can't think of a battle pass I've bought and enjoyed or seen that has worked that's not Fortnite.
No.
I bought one for Call of Duty way back when you got... No, I didn't. I just bought a skin. I have never done it. It's not... Like, honestly, like, hey, like, not just for you guys, but listener, what battle pass, unless you're a hardcore Warzone player or Fortnite player, have you ever purchased that's been worth it? Or that you've seen value from? Or that you haven't regretted towards the end of it? I cannot name one. And even Overwatch, a game I love. The battle pass stunk on that, but like, I think Fortnite does it very well.
Now, I will
But
say
that's
this as a caveat. If it is only cosmetics, all Rocksteady has ever done is just not had a battle pass, but they sell you cosmetics after the fact.
Mhm.
But to Pez's point, there's a lot of like XP here, do this here. There looks like there's a lot of grinding be had.
So I'm not necessarily against battle passes. What I'm against is if they take their focus away from the actual game and just focus on the cash shop. Like, hey, Bethesda. Everyone loves Bethesda. How'd Fallout 76 start out? Not great. Game was broken, but guess what wasn't? The cash shop. Updated continually, right? Characters taken out of Overwatch. Guess who got skins in the cash shop? Those characters. Right? And they're disabled for a couple weeks because Blizzard doesn't know what they're doing. So it's like, don't tell me that a studio gets my benefit of the doubt. They need to show me. So stop, because you know what?
Money.
If 2K was doing something with like NBA 2K, we would roast it. We would absolutely roast it, right? But because Rocksteady made 3 incredible Batman games, although I don't think Arkham Knight, maybe I should replay it. I don't think it's as good as people said it was, but that was more the driving controls of the Batmobile were awful. But they made 3 very good, incredible Batman games. But those are single player games. And again, I don't have problems with battle passes. I have problems with battle passes like Overwatch, where you buy the battle pass and then you don't get coins to do the next battle pass. So you're just funneling them $10 or whatever. You know, you could say, oh, it's $2. Who cares? I mean, for me, it's a waste. Like, they're going to focus their attention on skins, and, you know, it's going to start happening. The bundles, and it would not surprise me if all of a sudden, you know, the Fruit Stripes gum is like, hey, if you buy a pack of Fruit Stripes gum, you'll get this Captain Boomerang skin, right? Like what they did with Avengers. So I just am not okay. I'm not okay with people saying, well, this studio is making this, it should be fine. We should always go in with, even if it's a smidgen of doubt, with doubt. Like, I am excited to play Hogwarts Legacy in February. Okay. If Avalanche Studio came out and was like, there's a battle pass, blah, blah, blah. Like, I wouldn't. I would wait until reviews came out. Maybe I wait until it's on sale, just like I'm going to do with Suicide Squad, right? Because I am not going to give them my $60 to then give them my whatever 10, 15, 20. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the reason that those are happening is because people keep buying microtransactions. It's very lucrative. But that game should be a single player game, just like Gotham Knights should be a single player game, right? And you shouldn't have 1,000 different currencies, and you shouldn't have to upgrade weapons and armor and all that stuff. It should have been a very easy game to put together, and it wasn't. So I'm sorry. I'm not going to, just because it's Rocksteady, I'm not here to just give them kudos and say, you know what, it's going to be great, because I have my doubts.
Interesting that it's cosmetic only, and like that's, I guess I don't care if it's a single player, because like if you want to spend money, like whatever. But like, I don't know, where's the utility in that? Like, why would I buy a battle pass for like?
Can I be a little insidious for a second?
Oh, I hope so.
We have heard this before. It was, I believe, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where Ubisoft came out and they were like, you know, all of our stuff is going to be cosmetics. And then in Fallout 76 did the same thing. It's all cosmetic. The cash shop is all cosmetic. And then what do they start to trickle in? XP boost, sprinkle it like Parmesan cheese over the
weapons.
Spaghetti. XP boost with Fallout 76, it was weapon kits and armor kits, right, to repair your weapons. So they may say, oh yeah, it's just cosmetic. Sprinkle in the little Parmesan over the cheese. Doesn't tell me when to stop. This looks great. And all of a sudden, it's 6 months later, and they're pumping in, you know, whatever XP level boosts, right? And you're like, well, you know, my buddy is, you know, Quartz level 30, but I'm only level 29. I'm just gonna spend $10 and buy one.
Cosmetics are the gateway loot to forking over
And
for cold, hard weapons.
And I didn't even bring up the other thing that this game is going to have now. It's going to be like a looter. It seems like it's going to be a looter. So if you're playing as Captain Boomerang, now you got to find the orange boomerang, right, that you throw, and all of a sudden 3 boomerangs come out of it. Like, it seems like there's going to be like a loot grind. I don't know. It just doesn't. It seems like it kind of fell apart to me. It isn't what I want. And I'm just sick of people, like, you know, I'm sick of people being like, well, they made it, so we should believe them. Oh, I'm sorry. We believed others, and they spit in our faces.
I think, and I'm kind of rethinking what I said before about like when has a battle pass been good. If you're so it worked good in Fall Guys, Warzone, and Fortnite. So if you're like a battle royale game, I think it's good. But I don't think I've ever seen a successful one for a single player game.
Doesn't make sense.
Why?
I mean,
why?
But it's not. I don't think it will be a single player game. I think it'll be a multiplayer. I think it'll be like Gotham Knights, where you can play it single player, or your buddies can join you and you can play multiplayer. But we don't know. I'm just going on one leaked image, but looking at that leaked image, I did not like what I see. People should be. I think people should be worried about this game, but no one's gonna, because Rocksteady makes good games.
I mean, I felt the same. You know, I never played 76, but when I saw the reviews and I'm like, well, this stinks, and it was disappointing because I'm like, I don't want a multiplayer Fallout. I do not want it. Stop spending your time and resources in that.
You don't understand how much Pez had to play that game and not want to play. We'd be playing the Division 2, and we'd be playing, and the certain person that was playing with us is like, let's just go play Fallout 76, and Pez is like, no, like, this game is terrible. He's like, I'll buy it for you. And Pez is like, yeah, very funny. No, he went and bought it for Pez. So Pez
my buddy bought it for me. He bought it for me and two others, and the 4 of us played it one night and never played it again. And he got really
Avengers was
really mad.
terrible. There's been a lot of examples of quality studios that have tried something different, which that's what this is when you go to these games as service games, and it just doesn't work out for them. Like Crystal Dynamics made 3 amazing Tomb Raider games, and then made Avengers. It was really bad. We shouldn't be out there saying, hey, it's so-and-so, they're going to make a good game, because BioWare had a great name for themselves until they made Mass Effect Andromeda and they made Anthem. Like, Sorry, Waba. Mass Effect Andromeda is not that good of a game.
I played it years later. I can't
But
fight that statement you said. It's valid.
It's just there's many a times where a very good developer can make a dud. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best, but we're going everything off at a leak image, and I'm not a big fan of games of service. Some of them I do like, some of them I don't. It depends on if they reward you. Like we talked about it right before. I still consider the NHL and EA, that is a game of service. There is a grind to it. There is gotcha mechanics in it. It's definitely a games of service. And for me, if they reward you, like when Pez and I used to play the Division rewards you. They drop exotics, they drop stuff for you, and they get you still going and get you that cheddar. But then when you play MLB The Show, same thing. But then there are some games that kind of like hold out that grind and make that grind just a little too long and might not reward you in the end. So for me, I'm gonna play it. I want to play the game. I'm gonna play the game. It's a DC property. I'm a huge DC fan. I want to see how they set this up and how the grind is, because I kind of agree with Pez that as of right now they're saying it cosmetics, but we all know that's gonna change. It's always gonna change.
And if let's like point this out, like it could be any game like this, and I think we would have the same opinion, not just because it's whatever it is.
Well, the Outer Haven in the chat is an extremely good point. Companies that have no experience doing games of service maybe should just not do games of service. Like Rocksteady, they created the superhero combat system. Like every game copies it. Spider-Man on Sony, so that game, Insomniac Spider-Man, it's the same combat system. If they don't say it isn't, then that's on them. But it's the same combat system. Everybody's done it. Rocksteady makes an amazing open world, single player, story driven game. You know what they should have made? An amazing open world, single player story game, because everybody started going after that. What's the next thing that we can make money off? Look at Ubisoft right now. They're just chasing their tails over and over again. We'll get into that because that's our next conversation.
Yep.
But Ubisoft trying to change the way they make their games just so they could be on what was popular right now and then has put them in this situation. And if Rocksteady, if we just had Gotham Knights, which was WB made Gotham Knights, and that was not good. And then you're gonna get this, and if this is a flop too, it's just gonna I feel bad as someone that likes DC properties. It's like, come on, like they're screwing up the movies, except for the Batman. And if they start screwing up the video games, it's just like, come on, man.
And two,
Like,
this is Kevin Conroy's last
please.
performance. Like this, I really hope it's good because they showed him the trailer. They dedicated to him as they should, and he was an important
gameplay, and we all know why.
Yeah, and he's the definitive, like, people have a lot of good memories of him, and I just hope that this is another good memory. And I don't know. I hope they do the fan service. I hope they do the people involved.
I just hope it's a good game.
I hope it's good. We want it to be good.
You'll never hear us being like, oh, I hope that game's terrible. Because if it's a bad, like, we hope all games are good because we celebrate video games on this podcast, right? We don't spend our time doing YouTube videos and reviews of video games because we hate them. But we're also not blind to some of the practices in this industry that seemingly people are afraid to call out. Right? I'm not afraid to, and if it gets me on Rocksteady's blackballed by Rocksteady, I don't care. Because I'm not gonna talk about stuff I don't believe in just so I can be in with a studio.
If it's good, it's good. If it's not, we'll tell you why. In our opinion.
Yeah, I wanted Gotham Knights to be good so bad, but for me, it's funny. Everybody said everything about Gotham Knights was the gameplay. The gameplay wasn't that.
Gameplay was great.
I thought the combat system, once again, they had a perfect combat system to work with, and I didn't understand why you tried to be like, hey, let's try to do something.
I didn't like the traversing system. Getting from A to B was tough.
Well, it was also weird that like you're on a flying thing and that thing is moving like a snail's pace. But my biggest issue with that game was the using the property in the story. Like you had the Court of Owls, and it was almost like a side mission. I just didn't get it. Like it's such a cool uh character in the games, like the Court of Owls, all of them, and it was just so not handled properly. I felt that was my biggest issue with the game. As a DC fan, I just didn't think it was handled properly. The
Yeah,
story,
I
they could
mean,
have. It was going very well, and then all of a sudden they just end the story, and they're like, "Oh, but that's not the end of the game. That was just this thing. You gotta
yeah.
go do other things." I'm like, what?
If you want my
Why?"
full opinion on Gotham Knights, go to youtube.com/3dads on a console. Check out my review of Gotham Knights.
True.
I had felt like there were a lot of problems. Story, honestly, to me, wasn't one of them. The voice acting I thought was pretty good, although it was weird, like hearing, Harley Quinn not be Tara Stone. I was like, "Ooh, that's weird." But yeah, again, I hope it's a good game. But you know what? No studio, you don't owe any studio anything. Be vigilant, my friends. There we
So
go.
I was like, I kind of do.
No, you
No,
don't.
no,
But you
nothing.
don't.
I'm
don't.
I'm messing with you. I'm being hyperbolic. Don't worry. So as Cord alluded to, there's another topic we want to talk about, and that has to do with recent things at Ubisoft. Now we talked a little bit about Skull and Bones, I think last week or maybe the week before. I know
Not
Pez and I,
last week.
yeah,
But now it's come out.
but
He
now it's a
kind of
lot more. And
yeah.
Cord, can you take us through that?
Well, so Yves Guillemot came out, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pez. The way I read it is he blamed the developers for
Yeah.
this issue.
Yeah.
So everything happened, all the news broke, and instead of coming out and calming the waters, Yves Guillemot came out and blamed the developers for the issue. Now he has since come out again and said, "Well, that's not really what I meant." But I don't know. I don't know how his statement doesn't say that he was blaming the developers. I guess he did it. It wasn't a statement. It was on a employee only call, and everybody leaked it. Ubisoft seems to be like a faucet. I've never seen a studio have so many leaks. It's pretty impressive. But
That's good.
I'm just, as someone that likes some of their games, it just worries me for this. And it's not just for Ubisoft. I find this is the bigger picture of, like, Ubisoft has phenomenal properties like Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell, which they do nothing with. Tom Clancy, and it seems that game companies are not using their properties properly and trying to catch the Fortnite success a lot. Am I wrong here?
I mean, something I'm looking at right now on Yahoo said Ubisoft had over a dozen battle royale games in production.
Square Enix did one with Final Fantasy, and it's gone after like before a year. They're just like, oh yeah, let's do a Final Fantasy Battle Royale. Let's, Final Fantasy has plenty of games. You don't need to add more.
No one is asking for a Final Fantasy battle royale. You know what I mean? Like Warzone, I get. People, again, first person shooters, I kind of get, but like,
It's already one. It's just you're just making
Yeah.
it bigger.
yeah,
But that was because they've been ambitious. So, Core, to your point about they're trying to stretch their properties. I feel like Square Enix has been, especially with Final Fantasy, they've explored a lot, and I think that they've done well. So they have their like Final Fantasy X turn-based combat, Final Fantasy X-2, which was kind of like a spin-off. Explores the story after that, but it's a different system. It's more real-time combat and like mixed with like jobs and stuff. I can go in if you know. They've also done like rhythm games that have worked, and then they do something like the Kingdom Hearts. I think was a really cool experiment, and I feel like they've done a good job. But then they also choose to do a battle royale. So I like when they take risks, but
Do
you
we,
gotta
though?
hit on most of. I
know
would
what?
say
We say
maybe
this about developers all the time. And guess what happens when they take risks? We get up in arms. And yes, we live in this bubble that we don't realize people I realize this bubble isn't as big as we thought when The Last of Us aired on HBO, and the amount of people were like, "Oh, this is a video game," didn't even know. We do live in a bubble, and I wonder, do other people, it's obviously people don't like these other games, but like we think Final Fantasy is this thing, but it is this thing to gamers. It is not this thing to everybody else.
No, and just a few more like again, I have a lot of like Fuser was a really cool game. It was a DJ based game. And it was by Harmonix, Boston based, who did, I believe, either Guitar Hero or Rock Band. That game shutting down its servers. I saw it at PAX East. I thought it was fun. People loved it. They spent a lot on the license for music, and then they're like, oh, we're done. Not enough people want to play. So yeah, I mean, you're right. Like sometimes people just don't want the risk. I think I'm not saying don't. Like I thought Fuser was actually kind of a bright idea coming from a rhythm studio and trying to apply it, but you gotta like know like I don't know.
when to
Like,
hold 'em,
like
know
yeah,
when to fold 'em, know
I
when
think
to
that's
walk away.
that's actually it's cheesy, but I think that's like really appropriate. Like you
Well,
gotta
I
know
just-
your audience. Like
you're-
Persona dancing games, they know their audience and they did
Yeah.
well.
But like Rocksteady, you made the best superhero game of all time in the Arkham series. And you decide, hey, let's not do that. You know what? It's just like with Assassin's Creed. One of my favorite franchises. And people were like, oh, it got stale. It only got stale because they just kept bringing it out every year. If Assassin's Creed was like every 3 years and it was still this thing, people would be clamoring for it. Mirage will do well. That they're going to go back. If they're going to do this thing where they give us this 8-hour experience and then they go to the bigger stuff, I think that'll work because people like being in Assassin's Creed. Every time Assassin's Creed comes out, people are like, I don't want it. Ends up selling like rock stars, ends up getting great reviews. Everybody ends up liking the game that likes those type of games. And also, Assassin's Creed speaks to people that are not us, that are not gamers, because that Xbox 360 generation was the first casual gamer generation ever, because they bought those things just for Call of Duty and Madden, or in Canada's situation, NHL, and they got other games with it. And that other game ended up 9 times out of 10 with a lot of people was Tom Clancy Rainbow Six or Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed sells to everybody. It's not just that's the game, that one single player game that people buy. Same with Far Cry. Ubisoft does a good job at that. But Ubisoft tried to do this thing. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna make games of service. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." And everybody was just like, "Why? Just continue doing that thing." And you know what? Stay making, like when they were making the Valiant Hearts and those games, those were great. Make those and make your tentpole games and stop it with all this other stuff. They're like, "Oh, Mario Rabbids didn't do well." Yeah, it's because no one really knew it came out and you put it out at the same time as all these huge blockbuster games. What'd you think was going to happen? It's like every time there's a huge game going to come out, Ubisoft's going to drop a new game. Like it's without fail. Ubisoft's going to be like, you know what we should do? We should put out our big game for the year. If it ain't
We're not
Assassin's
gonna
Creed,
market it.
but no, they market, but not very well. But like Assassin's Creed, yeah, you can put that out against all the big guns because it's not Call of Duty. It's its own thing. The Call of Duty guy, that Call of Duty bro, is still gonna buy Assassin's Creed. But you need to just make the game that is like people were getting mad at Judas that's coming out, and they're like, oh, it's just Bioshock in space. Well,
Good.
cool. You know what? Thank you, God. Ken Levine made one of the best story-driven video games of all time, and he's making another one, but in space. I can't wait to play it. Like, thank you, Ken Levine, for not jumping the shark and just making the game that you're good at making. Just go do that. I don't know, man. Like Neil Druckmann does a great job. Just be like, hey, I'm just gonna keep doing the thing I'm good at. Thank you, Neil Druckmann. Sorry, there's my rant.
No, fair. Guys, what are
Good
your
rant.
thoughts?
I mean, I think I've said enough on the piece. It's just like Ubisoft, man. I will say the one game I was very surprised didn't get canceled was Beyond Good and Evil 2. Do you know the first time, gentlemen? Tell me the year the first time
Rod
Beyond
Marlines.
Good and Evil
Lawrence?
2 was teased.
God,
Tell me the
I think they just
2014.
I think they just banned alcohol and then they announced that game, right? The US?
2009.
It was Prohibition. Who was in
And-
office then? Was it like
and I don't know.
it was
Andrew
Nixon?
Jackson?
Nixon was in office, and then at E3
Lava,
that year they
lava,
announced
You
it.
don't have to say Nixon. You can be like Bush. It's still far away.
I don't remember.
Okay.
So
It was definitely Obama. It was just 2009. Just-
I don't remember.
Ubisoft just doesn't. Yeah, it was definitely Obama. Ubisoft doesn't. I don't understand what they're doing anymore. Honestly, I don't understand. It's like they're just trying to. They're trying to like throw spaghetti against the wall and just see what games are gonna stick, and they
Is it
don't.
mom spaghetti?
Yeah, Yeah, it's
Knees are
mom
weak.
spaghetti. Knees are weak. My tummy's upset. Eat mom spaghetti.
It's like the PG version of 8 Mile.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. We call it 4 Mile. So I don't know, man. Ubisoft they continue because they put out like these weird games like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the fighting game, right? Which I love, which you can't see behind me, but I have the special edition still in there it is right there for the Switch. But so they put out those like weird games and then which are great, probably the best, brawler game that you could play, I think. Maybe other than Shredder's Revenge. And then they put out 90 to 100 hour Assassin's Creed games that like you try to get through, you try to slog through, and it's like I'm burnt out. I don't want to play this anymore. And it has all these gatekeeped missions. I can't even speak anymore. I'm just aggravated all the time.
But if
now.
you're a crazy person like me, you do it.
But Court was like, dude, this game's burning me out.
Yes, I did say that. It was too much. I was more annoyed the fact that when I finished it, because it has 2 endings. Now it has 3. I have done the 3rd ending. Because they just put in another ending. When I finished it, I said to Pez, I was like, they just made me do something for almost 2 hours that was pointless.
Yep.
Like it was.
I mean, I was
literally
watching
just go
someone
here, and come back to find out to the original person that gives you the mission ends up being the thing, and you're like, are you kidding me? This wasn't a spoiler. Like what the?
I was watching someone stream it today, and it was like 7 minutes of smashing a button to drink horns of mead or something, and I'm just like, why? Stop it. But yeah, it just seems like they're either making kind of like the same stuff now. You're far like you can count on probably every 1 to 2 years, Assassin's Creed or Far Cry.
But as a Ubisoft fan, I'm okay with that. But give me that. Don't deviate. Like, give me another Division. Like Heartland, when's it coming out? I'm now finding out Division Season 10 is coming. Mirage is coming out. I'm going to play the living daylights out of this game. Bassam is going to be a phenomenal story. He's a great character. It's going to be an 8-hour thing. My point here, Pez, is, and maybe I didn't construe it, is just give me what you make as well. Don't make this other thing.
I agree. Do what you do best.
Yes.
And try and looking, and I know that's hard for a company because your job is to make money, right? It's always to appease the shareholders. Like they go public and it's a wrap. But like if you're a Nintendo and you make good Mario and Zelda games, make Mario and Zelda games. Don't make a Zelda Battle Royale game because people don't need it, right? Don't go and make like don't go and make a Super Mario first-person shooter, right, where Cappy is like your weapon. No one wants to play that. They want to play Mario.
Mario Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey is incredible, but they've done 3D Mario games before, right? So like that's in their wheelhouse. And, they've done multiple types of Legend of Zelda games. That's in their wheelhouse. And then they go to a game like Splatoon, so they deviate and it works. But there's no paid there's no paid mods, there's no like battle pass, there's nothing. It's just Nintendo doing Nintendo. But Ubisoft likes to seemingly get a million projects going at once and then just keeps canceling them.
I feel bad for the people working on them too. They put all this time in and then they're just told like, yeah, we're scrapping it. Like that stinks.
Yeah.
Like way to discard like that you have good talent working on these games. Do you think they want to I don't know. I don't want to speak for them, but like it might discourage people from working with Ubisoft again who might be great talent because it's just like, well, they're just going to scrap my game again. Like that stinks.
Yeah, that's definitely
unless you're making Assassin's Creed.
Well,
true. Or Rainbow Six.
I can't
not
believe
Rainbow Six, Far Cry.
I can't believe you remembered Beyond Good and Evil 2. I totally didn't. I
Isn't
don't
the
need
article I was reading.
I'm excited
Crazy.
for Skull and Bones. I'm like the weird one. I watched their little thing on it. I want to play it.
Well, you can play it when you retire because that's when it's going to come out. You'll have plenty of time to be a pirate.
Anyways,
after you're gonna with our AARP discount, we're gonna get 10% off a new game release when it comes out. So we'll be all right.
Sheesh.
Yep. Folks, any other final topics of the day?
And what's the Bruins score right now?
It's 1-0 Islanders.
1-0. Peugeot's a jerk.
Actually, it was
JP
Zach Parise.
Pajot.
Yeah, Parisi. The only piece of Devils merch I own is a Parisi shirt.
He scored the
Wow.
goal. It was a terrible
Yeah.
goal. It flipped off Allmark's glove and kind of
Ugh.
like trickled in.
Gross.
But I'll say
Yeah.
this: the Islanders are outplaying the Bruins. The Bruins look like they're just packed it in already. They're playing second period Bruins.
Just
So
wait till third period. That's all we need.
Yeesh.
I still laugh, like, the Bruins still play second period Bruins this year. Everybody's like, "Oh, they've changed their system." I'm like, I've talked to many people in the hockey world. A new coach can't do anything for like his if he has a new system, that system can't be in it takes years. Like 2 years for that system to start getting to play. But they can do simple things like the activation of the defenseman. They were doing that last year, but this is more of an activation. Like, hey, you can go with the puck. They were still doing that dump thing. They can do little things like that. This is still the same team, except for the fact that they have David Krejci.
So
They have a healthy Brad Marchand, a healthy David Pastrnak. This is a very good hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not playing very good right now, but that doesn't worry me. Like
No.
this team needs a stinker every now and then.
Yep.
If you're worried about your first place hockey team on January 18th, you have you live a pretty good life. They're on pace for like 160 points, dude. It's crazy. Like,
Not
and you know
enough.
what? They need. It's okay if they lose because that's how you know. I can't even say get better, but you can't just win the whole time because then if you go in the playoffs and you're down 2-0 in the first round, you know, it's harder to kind of corral and get back on track when you've blown through the league. A President's Trophy team has not won the Stanley Cup since 2013.
So we
I
want
know,
to
I
come in
hate
second.
that. Well, no, because then the Atlantic Division, unfortunately, Bruins have no choice but to come in first because otherwise you're going to let Tampa and Toronto beat the living daylights out of each other in the first round.
Exactly.
Well, you know
Exactly.
who's winning
You
that
go
series.
you go in
Tampa's
and you
winning that.
play. I don't even know who's in eighth right now. Pittsburgh, maybe. Florida. Like
No,
you
not
go.
Florida.
Florida. No.
No, Florida's actually Sergei Bobrovsky. Ooh boy, what a terrible contract that is.
So
great.
right now, Pittsburgh Penguins, they would play the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round.
Good.
Or the New York Islanders. They're tied.
Don't want that.
What do you
Why? They can
what?
be just because they're not playing well tonight. They can
Hold
beat
on, hold on.
both
Wow,
teams.
I'm using my sample size of 1.3 games.
Pittsburgh has absolutely terrible goaltending.
Tristan Jarry, he's hurt, and Casey DeSmith is.
To be totally honest
trash.
with you, I hope Washington finishes in eighth because Washington. I hate saying stuff like this because you never should want to say stuff, but like Washington would be an easy first round opponent.
Get wrecked, nerds.
That's fast.
Plus, we get to watch Ovi get bounced in the first round, and then all the dorks on Twitter cry about it.
Yeah.
But like I look at the Bruins and I'm like, what do they need? It's not Milan Lucic.
It is.
Which would be fine. Like to be totally honest with you, Waba.
Dude, give me a line of Frederick,
Please, just let me
Foligno, and
No.
Lucic.
Oh,
He
Waba.
would cost you nothing. He would cost you nothing, first of all. Second of all, he would want everything in the world to come to this team. And third of all, whatever. He's a UFA at the end of the year. It's not like you got to resign him.
Future considerations.
You know what? What are you gonna call that line? The cement line? Because
you
they
call
all
them
skate
the
2 miles an hour.
what were those guys in Slapshot?
The Hanson brothers.
The Hanson
That's
brothers.
what you call them. You call it the Hansons. You just go around and just
Why you roll out
Get
a
ejected.
first line and they are just
the problem is the problem is
they're
you have
blown away.
Greer who can skate, and he's better than Lucic and does what Lucic does.
I know, but I'm nostalgic.
Yeah, I know you are, but in all seriousness, I don't know if Waba heard over the weekend, but a certain someone at CBC, because the whole Kane thing is out the window now with his injury stuff. I don't think he's.
Oh, he's that hurt? It stinks.
Well, I don't know if he's hurt, but he definitely has something going on. There is a rumor sparked by Elliot Friedman that the Boston Bruins are in on one Bo Horvat.
Bo.
Oh,
But I want
knows?
to temper people's expectations. One, he will cost you a first round draft pick and like Fabian Lysell. Like there's just no way you're getting that guy without those two things going the other way. And two, he's going to cost you a roster player, and it's not going to be like, let's just throw him Smith and Riley. No, that's not the way the world works. Okay, you can't just be like, here, have my garbage, and give me your good stuff. Like
Yeah, it
that's
ain't-
not the way the world works.
It ain't
Mind
NHL
you-
23, folks.
Mind you, Riley is not garbage, but I think
It's gonna have to be like Coyle or something.
I think it would be Grizzly. Oh, Bruins
Maybe.
just scored. They wanted him before. Charlie McAvoy just scored. They wanted Grizzly before because that was the Brock Besser deal. That was Grizzly and Heinen for Besser.
Are they?
Gotcha.
So
They didn't do that.
well, no, that was before the lockout. That was years ago, and it just
Oh.
the lockout happened, and then after that, it just didn't happen. This is just all hypotheticals here. If you're the Vancouver Canucks, you want Grizz. If you're the Boston Bruins, you don't want to give them up. My whole thing with Bo Horvat is, if you have to give up Matt Grzelcyk, so now you have to fill that void of Matt Grzelcyk. You're going to play Mike Riley, but is Mike Riley Matt Grzelcyk? No, because people always think Matt Grzelcyk is this offensive guy. He replaced Krug. No, Matt Grzelcyk plays very well on the other side of the puck. He's a very two-way defender. So you're now having to replace that. Your back end right now is one of the best back ends. It's probably one of the reasons you're winning hockey games because your back end is so good. So bringing in Bo Horvat, who now bumps Coyle down to the fourth line because that's where Horvat's going to play. Where you can play him on your wing. You know what I mean?
You're not going to put Horvat on the Chet line, the Chechia line.
Exactly.
He won't be able to come. No, that
So
stupid.
you know what I mean? Does Bo Horvat make this team better right now? Does he?
Yes.
Yes.
By losing Matt Grzelcyk.
If they
Is
did
it
that, I
what-
imagine they would do a
Yes,
sign and trade,
right.
wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, they definitely.
It'd
think
be
that
like a
they do.
Lindholm, like, okay, we'll
100%
trade for
would
him,
do
but
a
he
sign
has
and
to
trade.
sign, so they have to talk to his lawyer, right?
Well, no,
Or no, his agent
Sign it
lawyer.
right away, but yes, there would be the parameters would be set for a new deal. But like
His
what I'm
lawyer.
now, you have to make another move though.
Yeah,
now
that's the thing. You have to make another move for a top 4 defenseman because Riley ain't it, son.
Because the caps fix each other. So now you've lost your first, you've lost Lysell, you've lost Grzelcyk, and you've got Bo Horvat, and you probably gave up something else. So maybe Smith goes the other way too. Who knows? That's when you can throw in a guy like Smith and you get more money off your cap. But now you're going to try and go get Luke Schenn from Vancouver, but I think he's still going to Tampa and he holds his cards where he goes. Luke Schenn gets to decide what team he goes to. So I say he goes back to Tampa because he's played there and Tampa's going to want him. He's won a cup there. He's going to go to Tampa. You know what I mean? Just makes sense. That's where he'll go. He gets to choose where he goes. So
Shen plays for the Canucks, right?
yeah.
Do you try to
And-
package?
You try and get him for sure. He'd be perfect on that back end. He hits like a tank.
Yeah.
He's won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yep. Man,
But-
Luke Shen, I feel like he's been in the league forever
Pez,
too.
he decides where he goes.
That's true. But if he looks at a team like the Bruins and he's like, "Oh, these guys are legit."
Yeah, but if he looks at a team he's won 2 cups with, it's available.
True. Sometimes the heart is
the one you
the heart
know.
wants what it wants.
You know what I mean? So if I say Luke Schenn goes there. He goes there or Toronto. He's played in both cities.
Ugh,
That's where he goes. He ain't
I
coming to
hate that.
Boston.
Stupid
So
Toronto.
then you now need a defensive defenseman that can also move the puck. Oh, so you need Matt Grzelcyk. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like war games. The winning move is to not
Well,
play.
you don't need a centerman though. Here's my thing. Bo Horvat, you need a centerman next year. You don't need him this year. You need a winger.
I know. I just want to lock him
See what
down
I'm
and
saying?
have him be here.
See how stupid it is, Pez?
Mm-hmm.
Bo Horvat's perfect, but you technically need a winger.
Yeah. You do need a winger.
Oh, so
You
that
do.
has
You
been
need a
our
healthy Pat Kane. Yeah, that's what you need.
Which
that has been our
probably ain't
hockey
getting.
talk. I like how we end a little bit with the hockey talk. And if you
And the Bruins
don't,
scored while we
Yeah.
were talking.
perfect. So if you like hockey, then you like it. And if you don't like hockey, you should probably watch the Bruins and then root for us.
Oh,
and then
I
you can
love how
commiserate.
DJ Spencer was loving the hockey talk. I love that.
Love it. Also, reminder: Persona shows up on Games Pass tomorrow, so call it a work sec. Enjoy it.
Can I
Do
give
the right
a
thing.
Can I give a real reminder now? If you'd
That-
like,
what could be more important than playing Persona? I don't.
if you'd like to know my top 5 most anticipated AAA games of 2023, head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/3dads-on-a-console. My top 5 AAA, and the next one's going to be harder, but I'm going to do a top 5 most anticipated indie games of 2023, which is definitely going to be more difficult because there's a lot more indie games I'm looking forward to than AAA games. Shockingly.
Can you do a list of games you're not looking forward to?
Suicide Squad.
Oh my god, DJ Spencer's a Habs fan.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's a good old boy from Canada, but yeah, he's a
That-
Habs fan.
That's too bad.
That's okay.
know what?
DJ, my family is from Montreal, so I have there's a room in my heart for the Habs.
So
That the
it's on
Toronto
the,
Maple,
it's on the
the
back
Toronto-
porch.
the
Yeah,
Toronto
it's-
Maple Leafs. No,
It's
The
next to
Toronto
the
The
Maple Leafs.
doghouse.
the Leafs are in my toilet. The Habs are at least in my house.
Fair. Folks, if you enjoyed the Sode, make sure that you check us out at youtube.com/students console, where you can watch us live every Wednesday around 7:30
Not
p.m. Eastern
Tuesday.
time. Not Tuesday, and
give
maybe
us
a few minutes late.
Give us a
We're not-
10-minute buffer. Because
Because
Wob is late.
I'm here before the show starts, like I said. Make sure that you also check out the videos. Pez has a few good ones that have just released, and we're going to be doing more. Also, we are looking to have another interview, a side quest chat very soon, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice, and in our videos, go check it out. Drop us a like, drop us a comment, and let us know what you thought. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Ciao.